Tonight, the City of St. Louis Reparations Commission continues to get the community's input on how to repair centuries of harm due to racism. The group hosting its fourth public meeting this evening in North City as part of tonight's discussion. One of the board members highlighted the disparity in health care African Americans face in St. Louis.
In St. Louis, and I will quote St. Louis City, 31% of African Americans live below the federal poverty level. One of the things we found out early on was that individuals who live in certain zip codes fare much poorly in terms of their overall life expectancy and quality of life.
The Reparations Commission is analyzing the history of race-based harms in the city. In the future, they'll offer methods to develop and implement reparations over the next public meeting. By the way, that public meeting is in August.